The Retro Podcast.
What's good, everybody? We back with a special episode, man. I'm here with a living legend, man. A straight 618. I ain't even just gonna limit you to 618. It's a legit legend on the court, off the court. The man himself, the best shooter that I ever seen. I gotta say, I say you're Ray Allen. Y'all neck and neck. But the best shooter that I know, you feel me? Mr. Philip Gilbert, y'all, man.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor and a privilege, definitely.
Yes, sir, man. Miss Phil, man, if you don't know, Phil is like I would say like an uncle. He's like an uncle to me, big brother, what else? That cousin, you know what I'm saying? You've been around shit my whole life, honestly.
Yeah.
So I would just say uncle, you know what I'm saying? But a close family member. But anyway, Phil, we're gonna get right into it, dawg. I wanna know, I know, a lot about the story, but there's some key, questions that I wanna ask, definitely about your upbringing. So let the people know where you from, and how you were raised.
I'm born and raised in East St. Louis. My grandparents' house is still standing in Washington Park. That's where everybody pretty much, at some point we all lived in that house. And then, as I got older, we branched out, me, my mom, and my two sisters to Parkside. And, we was there from, I want to say, second grade through high school. I spent a lot of time, a lot of people know this, but some don't. I spent a lot of time in the Gumpers at CAC, the legendary Christian Activity Center, and also Leslie Bates on 13th Street. That's where I learned, honestly, the game.
So was that where you was like introduced to basketball immediately?
Absolutely. I was introduced at Leslie Bates.
Okay.
Me, Darius Miles, Demas Debos. We started, we were in I think Debos was like the third, me and Demas was in the fifth grade. And we had a coach by the name of Teresa Cole. And, she taught us every aspect of the game from the fundamental standpoint, using the left hand on the left-hand side, 2-3 zone, man-to-man defense, teamwork. She taught us all of that. And, I love to give her flowers because her tree is crazy. And, she ended up moving on to CAC, and we went with her. And, the rest was history from a basketball standpoint with us, growing up. So that's really where it started, the roots of just me wanting to play basketball, because I was a football guy first, and I was one of those, you want to play football? I'm like, yeah, I'll play, whatever. And I actually was pretty good, but I saw Michael Jordan play.
Yeah, do it.
and that was it. It was a Sunday afternoon, the Bulls versus Magic Johnson, the Lakers. And I'm playing in the house, and there was a game on in my mom's room, and I'm just bouncing around, and I'm in the hallway, and I look, and they just talking about this guy. And I'm like, man, I hear the name all the time, but I never really watch. And he's shooting, he making everything. So I really sit down. I'm like, man, this is what I want to do. And I switched gears, and that was that. So that's really where it started.
And that was one of my questions. How old were you? You know what I'm saying? Do you remember?
I was probably 10, 11.
10.
Fifth grade. That's when I started. And I was raw, but I was real quick.
Yeah.
A lot of, the guys that play for me, they look, Coach Bill, you wasn't quick, but I was pretty fast, back then. And I got all my points from getting steals.
Yeah. So immediately, like you said, Michael Jordan was, one of your influences for you. Was it anybody, I would say, locally that motivated you to get better as well?
At that age?
Yeah, at that age. Or was it just, watching
Man,
them guys?
my uncle played. He actually played with Larry Bird at Indiana State.
Man.
He was a starting center, power forward on that team that played against Magic Johnson in that 1979 NCAA championship game.
That's crazy.
And he was in the house with me, and I'm young, I'm bouncing all over the place. But my uncles, my mom, my grandparents used to tell me the stories. Well, I'm a kid. I'm not paying attention to it, but then they start pulling out like newspaper clippings and articles, and I'm like, man,
That's tough.
and then just I got a little older into the teenage, 12, 13, and we used to go places and people would pull me to the side. Man, your uncle was a bad man. He was one of the highest jumping guys I ever seen, and I used to look at him like, what?
Not
So that once I realized and it dawned on me that I had somebody right there that actually played. He actually got drafted. That was back when it was NBA draft. It was a bunch of rounds. He got drafted to the Milwaukee Bucks, but he hurt his knee. I think he played like 2 years in Europe, and then he stopped. But that was a local influence to me at that age.
Hey, that's wild though.
Yeah.
You said you didn't really even know what I'm saying? No, that means he never even came up to you and told you or bragged about it or
He
nothing.
never bragged about it. I mean, we would talk briefly in pass, and then just having casual conversations because I was into sports, and he would always reference Larry Bird's work ethic. And he was like, man, if you gonna play, this guy worked hard, and he was the best, and he still worked hard. This is what you gotta live by. And like I'm young, it's going over my head. I'm ready to go outside and play, but once I really sit down and thought about it, it was like it made so much sense. So, and like I said, it was right there. And like you said, he never bragged about it. He would mention it and say little stuff about it in passing, but it wasn't a harping, on conversation. So
Yeah. Damn, playing with Larry Legend, like you say, saying that up close, man, I know he got a bunch of stories and, like you said, tips to give you. You know what I'm saying? He literally witnessed a legend. And then he played against, you said, Magic Johnson in that game? Oh, yeah. See, that's wild, man. So, if y'all don't know, East St. Louis, the city, I would say it's a sports. It's the city of champions, let's just say. Man, a lot of big-name players came from there. One of the biggest, like I said, was East St. I said one of the biggest was D. Miles, my bad. But how did East St. Louis, the city itself, how did it shape your game? How did it mold you into the player that you became?
Man, it instantly made me, tougher. Because growing up, my sisters, I'm the youngest of three and only boy, and they were married and moved away. So, growing up, it was just me and my mom in the house, and I did a lot of self-soothing because my mom was busy. I mean, she was the perfect mom, don't get me wrong, but when it came to sports, she was figuring stuff out right along with me. Mm-hmm. So it'd be times where, I had to go outside and figure stuff out. And just growing up, especially, in Parkside, at that time, it was rough. It was rough, but, the older guys in the neighborhood kind of kept their arms around the guys that they saw, even girls that they saw were sport inclined. And, it just, hey, y'all go this way. Don't come this way right now. Or tomorrow, don't even come down the street at this time. And, we bounce, okay, whatever, going on. But it just really helped me with, from that toughness standpoint when it came to athletics and sports, especially with basketball, because that's really when I made that transition. I got a little taller, and it was like, man, football, I like it, but I love basketball now, so let me put my all into this and just playing in the backyard. And, my backyard in Parkside it was a smaller space, but it was so, well put together. Mm-hmm. My spot was at 3-on-3, 2-on-2, 1-on-1 court, but my homeboy around the corner, he had the bigger lot while we used to play 4-on-4, and we would just, go back and forth, and it it made me into a machine at that time where it was like, man, if I was open, you might as well go on add 1 or 2 points to it because I did it so much and then I wanted it and it just made me that animal. And, I credit that to, my upbringing. My mom was one, she saw what I wanted to do and she encouraged it. And, if it was 12 o'clock at night, Mom, I got to make 50 shots. She was sitting the door and watching me or even rebound for me. And, it just, that support from her and then, my friends and, even just older people in the neighborhood, when they saw me outside at 10 o'clock at night shooting, they knew what it was. And, it humbled me, but it also made me realize that, you can do this if you put your mind to it. And I credit that to, the hood, point side.
So at that age, man, for you to, like you said, to be like, man, I need to make 50 shots before I go in the crib. I need to do this. I need to make this many threes, man. Like, you got to have a lot of passion at that early age, man.
Yeah.
And I feel like growing up, like now, I feel like a lot of kids got skills, but you don't see them putting in that, grind like how y'all was coming up, doing that type of stuff. Going to the park and, working on that game by themselves. Everybody feel like now it's kind of like I need a trainer to get better. I need a trainer. But like y'all literally, I say y'all are literally from like the streets, bro. Self-taught, I ain't gonna say self-taught. Y'all was introduced and y'all motivated y'allself, coming up and pushed y'allself, worked out y'allself, made, was so disciplined that you was like, man, look, I'm finna put these hours in every day. And that's wild though for, at that young age for anybody to commit to something like that or say like, look, this is where I want to go and I'm not taking no for an answer.
That's what's missing now. And, I speak on this a lot, to my family. My son, he's 8, but, we had those conversations. And I tell him about just those community centers, CAC, Les Bay's Neighborhood House, where it would be a slow traffic day where it wasn't a lot of kids, but I was there from 5 to 9 o'clock at night, and I had that adult right there. If I go to them and say, hey, nobody here, I just want to shoot today, they rebound for me. And, the cell phone era wasn't there, the computer era, all of that wasn't there, so it was either going outside or hopefully being able to get in the gym, and that was something that I really loved about playing and growing up in those community centers because it was basketball, and growing up with me, I was a master of seeing something on TV that I liked that kind of piqued my interest, and I would go outside and do it for hours. Even the next day on a Monday, I'd go to the center, do the same thing for hours and hours and hours again, and it made my thoughts with the game come alive.
Yeah. And
then I started getting confident more and more in different things when it came to basketball. And, at first it was like, I could do this a little bit, but then it went from that to me practicing these moves, what I saw Larry Hughes do at SLU or, somebody like that. And I'm making shots and the crowd is loving me doing it. I'm like, man, they're not stealing it from me. I'm not messing up. And it just made my confidence grow and grow and grow. And, I credit that to just those community centers and just paying attention to detail about the game and me really wanting to do it. And, like I said earlier, is that aspect is missing. I mean, you got the trainers, you got the YouTube videos, you got all of that, but if you're not dedicating yourself personally to put that time into being the best at whatever area you ask to do, you're just going to be an okay basketball player. And I was not okay at being with the thought of being okay, so I wanted to be the best. So I just worked and worked and worked at a younger age and dedicated myself, and it translated.
Yeah. Man, you can tell, like you said, from early on. I'm gonna jump off a little bit, but I asked the kid the other day, man. He said he loved basketball. I say, all right, you work on your game. He said, yeah, I work on my game all the time. So I said, okay, let's break these hours down. Let's see how more, you know what I'm saying? Let's see how much you really work on your game. So he told me, like, yeah, we practice 3 days a week with my team for 2 hours. I'm like, okay, no, that's 6 hours. What else you do? He's like, yeah, I work out an hour or something. He said, like, you know, for 3 days with my trainer. I work an hour sessions 3 days a week. So I'm like, all right, that's 12 hours. I'm like, what else you do? He like, nah, that's it. So I'm like, bro, you work out 12 hours a week. Like, you know, you might think that's a lot, but that's not nearly 12 hours is in a full week is crazy. And hearing, you know, your story is like, or knowing your story is like, bro, y'all was dedicating damn near 100 hours, you know, consciously not even knowing, you know, y'all literally dedicating your life to it's basketball. It's basketball first. Like you say, it's basketball over video games. It's basketball over, you know what I'm saying, friends or, you know, other little small BS that you could have been doing in the streets, whatever. Y'all chose that route, dedicated yourself to that. So I always tell the kids, like, bro, y'all not putting in enough hours because I know your story, you know. I know D Miles' story or Mo Baker's story. So that right there is for you to be that young, and like I say, I can't fathom that because it's either you gonna work or, you know what I'm saying, you're not. It's really no in between for real. You either love it or you like it. And y'all loved it from an early age. And like you say, playing with D Miles at a young age, and y'all was in the same class.
2000 class, 2000. We grew up. I remember the first day we met. You know, it was a Saturday morning, East St. Louis basketball league. I was in the kitchen with my mom, and you know, I was coming fresh off of watching Jordan play, and I saw the league, and I was like, Mom, I want to play basketball. So my mama, you know, just being who she was, I get dressed. We go into this address and see what's going on, and we end up going to Golden Gardens to this old school called Neely. And that's where the games were played at. And so we walked in, packed house, people there, games playing. And my mom was like, my son want to play. And it was like, well, you know, that's good. First, you got to get on the team. So me being me, the competitive, you know, I was at the time, I'm like, no, I want to play right now. And it's like, no, you got to get on the team. So she ended up knowing he's actually my cousin, Daryl Cherry, who was married to Teresa Cole. And it was like, we got a team at, you know, Leslie Bates. Come Monday to practice at, you know, after school at 4 o'clock. So, you know, all that whole day, I'm waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning. The only thing I can think about, I'm about to be on this team. I'm about to go. I go to school. I'm in class. Like, schoolwork was easy to me back then. I'm done. I'm thinking about this practice. Like, oh, I can't wait. So my mom picked me up from school. We go downtown. I mean, not downtown. We go to 13th Street to the neighborhood house, and we early. And I close my eyes. I see it. Daryl putting nets on the rim. And he was like, "What's up, cuz? How you doing?" And, you know, I'm talking to him. We in the 5th grade now, and so we there. And D Miles walk in with, you know, Miss Miles, rest in peace. He had a long Duke coat on. And he was like, man, my name Darren. I'm like, I'm Phil. And the rest, I mean, we just clicked at that point, and we practiced. And, I mean, Teresa, her nickname is Put, she was one of those coaches where if we're on the left-hand side and we attempt a layup with our right hand, we have to run suicides during the game. And she was like, man, I don't care if you make it or miss it. I want you to attempt it. We used to chart free throws in practice, best out of 5. We was doing that in the 5th grade.
That's wild.
With her. And I mean, it translated so well into the game. We used to beat people 88-0, 105-6. Like, it was crazy, man.
Saying that's when you literally first started playing.
That's what we used to do. And it just, I mean, the people on that team, Orlando Doc Gooden, Keisha Cole, arguably one of the best female hoopers that ever come through the city. She ended up going to SIU Ellisville playing. Rita Adams, like all of us played.
Oh, that's lit. That's tough. Shout out her, man.
Yeah, definitely. And so it was like in the summertime, man, we used to wake up 8 o'clock in the morning. We used to be in the park. 8 to 12. We might come home, get a sandwich or something. Now we back in somebody's backyard from 1 to 5. And we go to somebody else's house from 5 to 8, 9. This was every day in the summertime. I mean, obviously doing schools and we couldn't do it, but that was how dedicated we was to the craft. And we didn't even know what was going on. We just was doing something that we really liked to do.
Did y'all ever have like a problem with like, a parent like, man, man, you playing basketball too much. So, you out in the streets too much, man. They kind of just already knew that what y'all was doing. All right, I ain't got to worry about Phil. I know he's somewhere hooping.
That's it. My mom, D. Miles' mom, my boy Tyrone, his mom and dad, my boy Johnny Taylor, his dad. They knew what we were doing.
Yeah.
And we were good kids, so it was like we wasn't out there trying to get on the girls or stealing or doing anything like that. They knew if we weren't in the house, it was something to do with basketball, either watching it or doing it ourselves. So, they go back to what I said, kind of the older people kind of gravitated toward us because we weren't problem. I mean, DeMiles was in Washington Park, I was in Parkside, but we always ended up, with each other at some point of the day. And, as we got older, we fell in love with it. And, at a young age, you don't know what love is. You might like it a lot. I said it to my son. He tell me he loves it. I say, nah, you don't know that yet. You like it some, but, it was something to do, but being something to do, we really liked it.
Yeah. And then, like you say, early on, man, playing with D. Miles, was he like was he like a super athlete? Was it like a gap between, all right, man, this dude is super nice already type of thing?
Yeah, it was. If you knew basketball, I mean, I knew it a little bit at that age. You knew something was special there. And, he just got taller and taller. And the moves he used to pull off at his height, me personally, I used to be like, it's not normal. And, we all grew taller and coordination came together. And when it came together with him, it was something special, man. And, we go to Clark. We went to Clark together. We was in the same homeroom. That was back then, and for you younger generations. Around here, high school, junior high was 7th, 8th, 9th grade. And high school was 10th, 11th, 12th. And that was, I'm showing my age, but I embrace my 42-ness, everybody. But it was like we had Clark, Rock, Lansdowne, King. That was the middle school. And it was a lot of talent there, but he was so much ahead of everybody else. And people came at him, but he always slithered his way around them or block a shot and made their heads go down. And you look up, we done won about 20 points, and it was like, you special, dude. I don't know if you know it yet, but I see it.
Right. And the competitiveness in you, I know you was like, man, all right, I'm trying to, you feel me? I'm better. I want to be better than him. So I know y'all had some good, head button moments growing up where y'all was going at each other, as far as, friendly competition.
We used to go at it, but it wasn't never really nothing like one-on-one. We never played one-on-one before, but the mutual respect was there so much. What he did well and what I did well meshed like no other. Yeah. So it was like, middle school, high school, we were on the same page. We had the same goal at hand. Growing up together, that's what we used to always talk about. Yeah. So, he reached a 6'9", I reached a 6'3", 6'2.5", whatever you want to call it. And, you know, the script was written
Yeah.
for him. For me, I still got to work, and I wasn't shying away from it.
Yeah.
And he, you know, just seeing the stuff that he went through, it motivated me, you know, on an encouraging tip with him, and also a motivational piece for myself to, hey, I want to get that too.
Yeah. Facts.
And, you know, I put my head down and I put the work in.
And what was like the most memorable game that you and D Miles played in that you could, you know, it could be middle school, high school. I know it's probably y'all probably had some good battles.
It's a couple of them, man. Like I remember, you know, this is me giving him his flowers. Our junior year, we played at state against Westchester St. Joe's, Isaiah Thomas's old high school, and he had 20 points, 20 rebounds, 12 blocks, and like 9 assists.
Oh my, say
that was his stat line.
That's crazy.
And it was like,
in state though.
Whoa, this is the state tournament. It's the pinnacle of Illinois high school basketball. Everybody named Mama that because of
and
us.
My bad. It was 2 classes then, right? Or was it 4?
No, it was 4.
Okay, all right.
It was 4. It was no. I'm sorry. It was 2. It was 2.
Right.
My bad. 1A, 2A. And I mean, I remember looking at. We ended up losing. We was up 12 with 2 minutes left in the game. We lost.
Damn.
That's neither here nor there. But I remember in the locker room, like, dang, I looked at the stat sheet and I'm like, I said, hey man. He was like, dang, like for real. I was like, and then the legend. This is me. This is my thinking. The legend of D Miles took off after that game.
Yeah.
I mean, it was already scripted, but all right, this dude is legit.
Wait, so that was like your junior year?
That was our junior year,
okay.
99. Another one for me, I remember our junior year as well, we played against Mount Vernon in the super section.
Right, the Mount Vernon team was tough too.
Mount Vernon was the number 1 team in the state, 28-0.
Mm-hmm.
They had Kent Williams, who was all USA at the time. He broke Teddy Dupay in the Camo X shootout they used to have at the Kill Center. He broke his record. I think he had 48 points against Jamal Crawford and Rainier Beach. We was at that game. And we matched up with him in the super section. And, you know, the buzz was, East St. Louis young, they're not ready. Mount Vernon is prime for this time of the year. They 28-0, number 1 team, like 6th in the nation or something like that. And we just took it to them. And I had 27 points. And it was like everything was going in for me. And I mean, I had a good junior year, but that game right there, at that time of the year, people, you know, that made the decisions when they come to college and stuff like that, it was like, man, for him to step up at this time of the year in front of 6,000 people, he has it.
Yeah.
So that kind of cemented me for being a Division I basketball player. And, I mean, that game, I mean, Dumas probably had like 16 points, but it was kind of my show.
Yeah.
And with our relationship, I remember at halftime, he said, it's your time.
Yeah.
I never forget, we walking back out from the locker room. He said, man, it's your time. Put us on your back. And I did, and it I mean, man, that game is actually both of those games on YouTube right now. And, you know, if you look at it, you'll see a little skinny me, you'll see a skinny him, but, you know, it was awesome, man. And those games right there really are in my mind about just our dedication.
Yeah, me.
And it peaked at the right time.
Yeah, because I was, you know, obviously at one point in your career, like you just said, that game, was that the game that you was like, man, oh, this is real. The work I've been putting in is, you know, showing. Look, I can really go, like you say, college or possibly even pros with it.
That was it. Because I ain't gonna say I had doubts, but, you know, you seeing 6'5" guys that everybody talking about, and you know you could play, but it's like, man, can I really compete?
Yeah, man, but you said them was number 6 team in the nation, and you gave them 26 in the playoffs.
After that game, I remember my mom picked me up. We went to McDonald's. My mom picked me up from East Side, and I said, Mom, I could do this. And I built on that.
Yeah. And was it like any big name players that you played in high school or AAU, summer team, whatever, that you can remember coming up?
Man, I mean, you know this,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure a lot of viewers and people that really tap in know.
Because I know what I'm gonna stop my back. This is crazy. If y'all know St. Louis, Illinois 618 basketball, bro, this is wild to me. You and Mo Baker, y'all play in probably one of the toughest pro-ams, I feel like, in the States, you feel me? And y'all was playing in this, y'all was in this in 9th and 8th grade, playing against these grown men. And holding y'all weight, though, not just out there just to be out there. Y'all was out there holding y'all own weight, you feel me? That's wild.
My sophomore year, this was Mo's senior year at Madison. It was a Sunday. Beverly News Democrat always came out with that feature player that they did a story on. And that week, it was Maurice Baker. And I just remember reading the article, looking at it in my mom's kitchen. Babyface guy. I'm like, man, this guy's scoring 53 points. I'm like, man. And then it's like, man, we play them next Friday at Eastside. And I'm like, okay. So I never forget, during the game, it was warm-ups. I mean, I'm a sophomore. I'm 5'8".
Yeah.
I'm playing, but not playing like that at that time of the season. It was early. It was like December or so. I just remember sitting on the bench, watching him warm up. Back then you couldn't dunk or touch the rim.
Yeah.
And I mean, he just taking one dribble, cocking it back, dropping it in the rim. And I'm like, oh my God.
He said he jumping out the gym with it.
And, during the game, I ended up finding out later, he told me he was sick. I remember he made 3 threes with one hand in the fourth quarter we was up to try to bridge the gap. 3 in a row. He shot fake and threw it up. All 3 of them went in. And you could hear the crowd like, oh. And I wasn't playing, fourth quarter, 2 minutes left. I'm sitting there like, oh my God. And fast forward to that summer, I end up getting an invite to play with the St. Louis Eagles, which is now, Brad Bill Elite. And Reese was playing as well. And he took me under his wing. He was like, man, you got a bright future, but look at stuff like this.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how our relationship just blossomed from that summer on.
Yeah.
And I remember, Snag and Mo and even Erwin Clegg. It was like, man, we playing the pro-am. I know nothing about it. It was like, it said, the overshine that was on the ground. Come over there and check it out. So I had my mom bring me over. And I mean, for y'all that know back then, the OV, it was hot. It was a lot going on. You know what I mean? Outside, inside.
And them environments was real.
But basketball was always basketball. So me and my mom sitting there, and Mo was like, yeah, this is our team 44 Mag, man. We want you to, you know what I'm saying, play. So my mom was like, I trust you.
Yeah.
Do what you do. So, the next week, they ended up picking me up. I didn't get in the game, but I'm sitting on the bench just soaking everything up. And I mean, Reese is just destroying. Clegg is destroying. And I'm sitting there like, man. And, just fast forward a little bit, I remember, Clegg was getting a little older. And it was a game where, I got subbed in and I hit a 3. And I never forget, Clad came to me. He was like, "It's your time now."
Yeah.
And he faded. He started doing his own other things, and then I stepped up, and it was a me and Maurice Baker show.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
And that was back when we could jump. We was flying through the air.
I still can't believe that, man. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't believe I was jumping like that, though.
It was a sight to see. I remember I almost dunked on Anthony Bonner on a reverse under the basket. Boom, and everybody was like, "Oh!" And he came up to me and said, "Young fella, don't embarrass me. Don't try to embarrass me like that again." I'm like, I don't know what I did, but I give credit to Reese all the time, just because he didn't have to kind of take me under his wing and show me the ropes. But I give the ultimate credit to him when it comes to, especially around here, having the toughness to compete.
Yeah.
And I got that from him. And also, that I had the work ethic when I was younger, but when I got older, he taught me how to work with that age group.
Yeah.
And it took me from here to here like that.
Elevated your game.
So, I give him the ultimate respect when it comes to that, because, like I said, he didn't have to do that. But he did, and shit, I never left. So,
So you've been around looking. That's the story right there. Yeah, man. Uncle real, man. And I tell Uncle all the time, man, which I tell you too, like, bro, y'all need a book, a movie, a 30 for 30. Like, bro, y'all stories is crazy. Even the stuff I be hearing, I've been hearing stuff since I was 5 about y'all, about this, how this was going on, and they was doing that, or, So now it's like, I'm 29 now, and I'm still hearing stuff I never heard before. Like, you did what? Like, come on, man.
We used to get to it. It'll be, Saturdays and Sundays. We'll play one game in the morning at Vashon, and go to the Wolves or the Tandy. And, shout out to the Wolves and the Tandy, definitely, because that helped a lot of the hoopers around.
Hey, Wolves, like you say, them Wolves gyms and them environments, I feel like they shape you, boy. They turn you, that really tests your inner hooper for real.
Yep, absolutely. And like we used to go from here to this gym to that gym, and go to the Royal Palace, eat some turkey and dressing snacks. They used to take us there. And then, man, we come back to the hood around now. We gonna go out do something. And we used to do it and get back up at 8 o'clock in the morning, go play again on a Sunday.
Yeah,
that was the routine. And I fast forward a little bit to college. I look forward to that every week.
Yeah,
because it was like, man, it would be weekends where I couldn't come home from college because I either had something to do, in Peoria, but I used to get in my Jeep, 2.5 hours, come down, couldn't wait to play.
Yeah. Because at that point, I built a bond, what I'm saying? It was more like you said, a family thing at that point. I'm playing with my brothers.
Yep.
And then, shoot, I can only imagine. But a couple notable players that, I heard, coming up in the area around y'all time, too. It was David Lee, right? Obviously, Larry Hughes.
Yep.
You feel me? You ever got a chance to run against any of them? I know they played with, like you said, the Eagles.
Like Larry was, the legend of Larry Hughes is crazy. And, I never really got to play with him until I started playing professionally. And I used to train with Brandon Gilmore, another name, when it comes to training around here, arguably the best. He used to have me in the best shape of my life when I was going back and forth overseas. And, he used to coach at Hazelwood, essentially coach at LaShawn now. But when he was at Central, we used to go in the summertime when I was, playing professionally to Hazelwood Central and play, or SLU and play. He always put stuff together. And, the first time I played in open gym with Larry was at SLU. And, just me being an advocate of the game and loving it so much, he was one of those guys I looked up to, as well. I used to go to SLU games and watch him play, on them teams that 1 year he played, and it was like, man. And, we played against each other that one time in that open gym setting, and, we just watching him work, and he was playing for Cleveland at the time. It was like, yo,
Different.
yeah, like you could tell for sure.
That was crazy, man. See, like, y'all was literally, man, so many legends in y'all group that we can go on and on about them type of matchups. But, man, you, like I said, went to East St. Louis High School, graduated, you and D. Miles did your thing. Y'all both, at that point in time, he was getting looked at by the NBA. You know what I'm saying? You was trying to pick up, all right, what school I'm going to.
Yeah.
What made you decide on going to Bradley out of all the schools that were interested in
you? This guy has a weird, crazy story, but recruitment wise, my senior year, it took one coach to tell me this. He was like, man, the reason you're not getting the looks that you should be getting when averaging 20 points a game and 7 rebounds and running the point sometimes, and you see you athletic, you jumping from down at the free throw line off 2 feet, is that you were overshadowed by D. Miles. And it's crazy, man. The media used to try their best to kind of get us to be at odds. And we kids, we boys, we not paying attention to none of that. But, as I got older, and my mom still has a lot of those articles, I would read them and look at the verbiage and like,
yeah, look, they on BS. Because I know a story you told me. I think you said I was in state, and you were just like, bro, it was one time where we pulled up on a bus, and D. Miles basically had a fan group. People was out there going crazy. But like you say, you ain't never in life spoke negative and be like, man, he had everybody. You always been like, bro, it was wild.
It was like rock star. Yeah. We didn't even know it. Yeah. we were so close that none of that stuff infiltrated our team, because we had guys on the team that could go.
Yeah.
And we all had one goal in mind, and that was to win a state championship. So nothing could, again, infiltrate us. We did everything as a group. We sat at the same lunch table. We actually picked each other up from school, and it just happened that way where you'll look in the rearview mirror, it's a line of 4 cars, all us together going to school, and it wasn't on purpose. It was just, we were in sync that much. And it just translated on the court where, I'll tell this story, and people might think I'm lying, but if you ask anybody on our team, we were practicing on the side rails. And back then, the side rims at Eastside was the non-glass, hard as a brick backboards. We were scrimmaging. Our starting 5 were scrimmaging against JV. And we scrimmaged for 2 hours without missing one shot.
Damn.
Not one shot. That's how in sync we was with the goal at hand. And, you say that story about, when I told you that, we pull up and there's kids all over the place. This was everywhere.
And it's in high school.
This is in high school.
It's wow.
Collinsville tournament. No, Highland Shootout. I'm sorry, Highland Shootout. We played against Ladue. I don't know why we played Ladue that day. We won about 90. Whatever. Then you look up the next game, Andre Iguodala in Springfield, Landfield playing somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, man, why we didn't play that?
Right.
Whatever. Me and D. Miles went to the mall. And we sitting in the food court eating. And, Champs used to be there. Rest in peace, Champs. When, everybody. It's no longer there in St. Clair Square, but.
They took the Champs.
Man, we eating, we sitting down. And our thing was we joined like no other back then. That was our thing. And I remember I look up. It was like a line of kids we was at that table, like right there in front of that Dippin' Dots that sit right there, and Champs right there. It was a line going all the way to the store, and I'm like, yo, can you sign this D. Miles? And I'm sitting there, and I said, dude, I'm like, do you see this, man? He's like, man, it's crazy. Now fast forward to the game, and anybody that's been to Highland Gym, they got like steps that go up and then down. And our locker room was right there. We won. He had some crazy dunks. I'm talking about this kid lined up, grown people lined up, all they ended up having to get his own private security. And I remember looking at him like, dang, dude, like we can't even do nothing because of you. He's like, man, come on somewhere. But that's how close, that we growing up when it came to the game that, everybody, we had our eye on the prize.
Yeah. Y'all was like that for sure. Damn, man. I can't imagine as a high schooler, man. You had all that, media attention, all these fans and stuff. Like you said, but growing up, I can already tell that y'all was, it was a brotherhood. So obviously, you want your brother to strive. You know what I'm saying? And you pushing him, he pushing you. So yeah, of course, it ain't never gonna be no hate or no jealousy. So
like me personally, I knew he was going to the league.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna ask you though.
Coming back to your original question with Bradley, I remember at one point we said we wanted to go to Michigan together.
Yeah.
And that's when we were young, like 6th grade, and we got older. I said, you probably could go to Michigan. I would love to, but Bradley head coach Jim Molinari, he came to our sectional game at SIU Edwardsville, and we played Alden. And everybody was off in the first half except for me. Mm-hmm. And I kind of put us on our back. And that was the game he saw me and, he was like, man, we like you. So, the recruitment process started. And me, my grandma, and my mom went on my official visit to Peoria to Bradley. And Coach, was talking to him. He was like, what you do best is what we need. So if you come in and do everything I think you're capable of doing, you're going to start as an 18-year-old freshman.
That's crazy.
So I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, okay. And then my grandma really loved the fact that it was 2.5 hours away. Yeah. She was like, I can get to you. Somebody to drive me up here and get you if I need to get you. The academic piece was like top notch at Bradley. And, just those factors went into my decision. And it was, at the time, it was between SLU, Western Michigan, and Bradley. And it was SMS at the time, Missouri State. And I just remember, sitting in the kitchen. It was another Sunday night, letter of intent. They mailed it to me. And I was looking at my mom like, and I remember we signed it, faxed it off. And, the best decision, one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life was to spend 4 years at Bradley University to, harness, my basketball career and also academic.
Yeah. And like you say, going on to Bradley, man, you arguably, I don't know every Bradley player, but I'm pretty sure you top 10 best Bradley players ever. The accolades and the things you did in those 4 years was wild.
Yeah, man.
What's like a memory, you know what I'm saying? I know you, like, once again, you got a bunch of memories. What's your favorite? When in college did you say, man, all right, I really got a chance to play. I can go to the NBA, man.
Man, my freshman year, I played on a team. That's probably the best team I've ever played on. We had the Jerome Robinson, who was the defensive player of the year. We had 7-footer named Jeff Raby, who led the league in blocks. We had a 6'8", 6'9" power forward, and Eddie Cage. And all of those guys were seniors. Mm-hmm. Like, we started 2 freshmen and 3 seniors that year. Marcello Robinson, who's one of my best friends in life right now, he was our point guard. And practices were so crazy because Coach Molinari was one of those old school defensive minded, my way or the highway type of guys. And if you bought into his system and his philosophies, you won. And I mean, we all bought in. And I mean, I didn't have a choice. I'm an 18-year-old raw freshman. You know, we coming from East Side, we played a 1-2-1-1 press back to 2-3 zone.
Yeah.
And I didn't know the principles to man-to-man defense. So I mean, I was I'll say for the first month, I was getting yelled at, get out of the drill. I'm going to send your butt back to East St. Louis. Like, it was all of that. And, I mean, I could have folded.
Yeah, exactly.
But once I got it, I got it. And, you know, just for the viewers, I was homesick my freshman year. Because, you know, growing up, it was me, my mom, my granny. Like, I had no father. Like, you know what I mean? I was missing them. But the only thing that kept me going was basketball. So it'll be times, I don't mind sharing this either, it'll be times where it'll be right before practice, I'm sitting there like, man, I know practice about to be like that. Dang, I wonder what my mom doing, what's going on at home. But as soon as we got on the court, it was go time. And it just ultimately meshed well together. And I mean, we played Creighton, Cal Corver. It was like 24th in the nation. My freshman year, I had 28 points. And I remember Dana Altman, who was the coach at the time. He's now University of Oregon head basketball coach. You guys letting the freshmen kick your ass. And I'm running down the sideline smiling like, ooh, this is one of the best coaches in America saying this to me. And it just, man, like, I wanted it so much that, you know, I listened to those vets. I put the work in. So my first game, we played USC. At USC, that was 25th in the nation. I had 24 points.
That was your first college game?
First college game, USC. I got the record. The most points in the most points in a Bradley freshman debut game in the last 50 years.
Man, that's wild. That's insane.
And I mean, I was nervous. I didn't know what to expect, but when I made my first shot, everything, and I'm like, dang, I really can compete.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I say, I do not regret that decision going there at all because it molded me and it molded my basketball future.
Yeah, you were a legend at Bradley. I remember. I mean, you went to, you know, the little Bradley game, and they do it in St. Louis. What is it?
The conference tournament.
And I swear to God, y'all, every Bradley fan came up to this man, said thank you, said something to this man, and I think he was on the Jumbotron too, right? Yeah, they did. They quizzed you. They made you play a game, and bro, the whole crowd went, wow. This man is a literally still to this day a legend at Bradley, dog.
Yeah, like I said, I did my job.
For sure. And then too, also you told me you played with Danny Granger, right?
Yep, Danny.
What year was that for you though?
That was my sophomore year. His freshman year, he came in, and, you know, just going back to what I was talking about. If you bought in to Coach Molinari's, philosophy, you won. We had Danny came in as a freshman. A guy named Mike Suggs, who was Danny's first cousin, came in. Joe Tucker from Milwaukee, Antoine Tisby from Kansas City. They all came in as freshmen, and it was like a rebuild.
Yeah.
And, you know, we all was like, this is not working. We went 9-21 my sophomore year. Coach got fired.
Damn.
And all of those guys ended up transferring. Danny, I'll get on the Danny story in a minute, but Joe ended up transferring to UW Milwaukee. And he actually had 40 points against Illinois in the NCAA tournament. You can look this up. Antoine Tisby transferred to South Carolina. He won 2 NITs. Was a starting power forward. Suggs ended up staying with us at Bradley, but all them guys left, and we got a new coach, Coach Jim Les, who played in the NBA. He played with Hersey Hawkins. That's probably, I'm not gonna say probably, that's the greatest basketball player in Bradley history, Hersey Hawkins. And he was his point guard. And I remember Coach Les came in and he was like, man, if you listen to me and buy in, he was talking to me personally, if you listen to me and buy into what I'm telling you, I will put 8 to 10 points a game on your average. And my freshman year, I averaged 12.5. My sophomore year, I averaged 14. Coach got fired. Coach Les came in. I bought in.
Yeah.
I led the Missouri Valley in scoring. I averaged 21 a game.
So he ain't lie.
and I remember he pulled me in his office after the season, like I told you.
Yeah.
And I finished first. Kyle Cole finished second. Again, you can look it up.
Yeah, it's facts. But dang, what did he do to make? Because like he was confident saying that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna add 7-8 points.
Our identity changed as a team. We went from this grindhouse defensive, pack the paint team to fast pace, fast break, secondary break, offensive minded group. And his thing with me was run the wing. And again, this back when I could jump. So if I got 1 or 2 feet in that 3-point line, I was taking off. But also my ability to shoot came to life. I mean, it was alive when my first 2 years, but my last 2 years, it was when they referenced the ultimate green light. My green light was fluorescent.
But man, just go, like I said, when I tell y'all this is the best shooter I ever seen in my life, I swear I'm not playing. How did you get because when I say best shooters, I put you in that Ray Allen, Klay Thompson form type of, y'all in there mode by yourself, man. How did you get your form is so perfect, and just, was you shooting 1,000 shots a day to get it like that, or was it just a blessing from God himself?
I'm not even gonna lie. I remember when I was younger, and we had a scrimmage game. It was Leslie based against CAC, and like I said early in the broadcast, I was one of those defensive shoot the pass lane layup. I used to get 20 points off layup, free throws. But it was one game where coach was like, run the baseline and shoot. And I'm like, okay, there really was, in my mind, that really wasn't a strong suit of mine.
Yeah.
And this was a little league game now, mind you. I probably had 70 points. And it was jump shot after jump shot. And that night, I remember I went home and I said, man, I love the feeling of shooting the ball. And then I started watching the Milwaukee Bucks reality.
See, that makes sense now. All right.
And that's where I studied him so much, his placement with his feet, his hand placement, his release point. I really broke it all the way down. And, to this day, he is, other than Jordan, of course, is my favorite NBA player of all time, because I took what he did best and I incorporated with myself.
Yeah, and I never knew that, though. I swear. But I see it. I seen it. I never knew that.
I studied him, really, a test. I really studied him. And I was like, man, this is what I want to do. And I ended up getting, I did used to shoot, at a younger age in the backyard. I probably used to shoot 500 shots a night after school, in the cold, in the snow, everything. And people might look at me like, no, you didn't. You can ask my mom, I did. Gloves on. It was to the point where in the park when we played, I really didn't miss. And people used to be like, man, what is this guy doing? And again, I'm a green little kid. I'm just doing what I see and what I hear. And it translated. And, going into high school and then college, from a college standpoint, I knew that for me to sustain and to belong, I had to practice. Yeah. And I had to be perfect. And, I was one of those guys in college where after a game, if I didn't shoot how I thought I should shoot, I would go to the rec and play with the regular students. And I remember the president and AD used to come, you can't do this. And, it goes into Michael Jordan, you
Yeah.
watch the documentary, Love the Game clause. It was like, man, look, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I'm here to play basketball.
Right.
I'm not here to go to school. I'm not worried about school. School is secondary to me. School is easy.
Yeah.
But for me to be this person who I want to be on this court, I gotta work. And that's what I did. And they never messed with me since.